distinguished colleagues and early childhood advocates. We are the ECE Visionaries of the Caribbean, and it is truly a pleasure to present at this regional conference on meeting the developmental needs of our young children. Now, the years from birth to 8 represent a remarkable window of rapid growth and development, a time when children build the foundation for lifelong learning, health, and overall well-being. These experiences they encounter during these early years shape the course of their entire lives. As educators, we recognize that the environments we create, whether nurturing or neglectful, have lasting effects. Therefore, it is essential that every child is provided with an environment that supports their physical, social, emotional, and cognitive development. Guided by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, also known as the NAEYC, our group explores how the Caribbean can align its early childhood systems with international best practices. Over the next few minutes, our presentation will 1. Introduce the NAEYC's foundational documents and standards, 2. Analyze current Caribbean policies and examples of progress, 3. Identify existing gaps and barriers, and 4. Offer evidence-based recommendations for advancing equity and quality in early childhood education. Together, we aim to highlight that investing in early childhood education is not only a developmental necessity, but also an issue of equity, justice, and nation building. Okay, as we begin our discussion now, we'll start off by looking at the foundation that guides early childhood practice worldwide, the National Association for the Education of Young Children, the NAEYC. These standards are like a roadmap for quality, and understanding them helps us see how the Caribbean can strengthen its own systems. So Danica will start us off by taking us through the key documents that shape these standards.
Good evening, everyone. I am your presenter, Miss Swati. Let's begin this presentation by looking at the National Association for the Education of Young Children, also known as NAEYC, foundational documents. NAEYC has created 5 foundational documents which helps to promote successful implementation of early childhood education. These foundational documents are as follows. Firstly, we have DAP, which is also known as Developmentally Appropriate Practice. This practice helps to outline the principles of teaching and learning in relations to the child's development, uniqueness, and cultural setting. Secondly, we have Early Childhood Program Standards, which describes what high-quality program entails. We also have the Code of Ethical Conduct, which prescribes how the ethic of the profession is observed. Then we have Advancing Equity, which this promotes equitable and inclusive education. And finally, we have Professional Standards for Preparation. These are documents that rigorously outline how teachers should be prepared. These documents can be used as reference points for evaluating and aligning policies on early childhood education in the Caribbean. And that's according to NAEYC 2020 and NAEYC 2024. Let's look at the key principles of developmentally appropriate practice, DAP. DAP is guided by 3 foundational pillars. The first one is knowledge of child development and learning. That is where we understand age-related characteristics and what is developmentally possible at each stage. Then we have knowledge of each child as an individual. We appreciate each child's unique strengths, interests, their needs, and challenges. And finally, the third pillar is knowledge of the social and cultural context. This is where we recognize how family, language, culture, and community influence a child's learning and development. As educators, we need to join these principles to create a rich learning environment that fosters play, relationships, scaffolding, and active exploration. When using DAP, the focus is the child. So the child is at the center of learning, not the tests. And it values the vital role of families in every child's growth and success. That was taken from NAEYC 2020 and NAEYC 2024. Let's look at the overview of NAEYC program standards. This program has outlined 10 key areas that promotes and define high-quality early childhood education. It also promotes holistic development for every child. The first one is relationships. This is where trust is built and nurturing positive connections are created. Then we have the curriculum, which supports all domains of child development. We have teaching, being responsive and intentional in interactions with children. We also have assessments, which is very important. We use evidence to understand and support children's progress. We have health and safety, where we ensure that children's physical well-being and security needs are met. Then we have families. This is where we recognize that parents are co-educators and key partners in their child's learning. We have community relationships, collaborating with community resources and services. Teachers, ensuring qualifications, competence, and ongoing professional growth. Then we also have leadership and management, where strong policies and sustainable operations are established. And finally, we have the physical environment, where creating safe, engaging, and accessible learning spaces are important. Now, these standards are internationally recognized and are designed to influence early childhood policy and practice worldwide.
Now that we've explored the NAEYC's foundational standards and guiding principles, it's clear that these frameworks set a strong vision for what quality early childhood education should look like. But how do these ideas translate into our Caribbean reality? Across our islands, we've made important strides towards aligning with these global standards. Though our progress hasn't been without any challenges. So let's take a closer look at how different nations in the region have adapted and implemented these early childhood policies.
Families as primary partners. Research shows that families are the children's first teachers and the first to make critical decisions. Effective programs consider parents as partners in the planning, service, delivery, and governance of the programs. The toolkit emphasizes the importance of family-centered care, highlighting the shared responsibility, respect, and power in partnership. Parents are not passive recipients of services. They are also expected to provide advocacy, advisory, and even leadership. This approach sees parents as active partners in constructing readiness, facilitating the alignment of initiatives to community values and needs. Effective parent engagement. Parent engagement has to be purposeful and guided by relationships, culture, and the desired outcomes. Engagement strategies include goal setting with parents for their children's milestone, purposeful and respectful dialogue, inviting parents to leadership roles in advisory councils, and facilitating participation like transport and childcare. To remove barriers, programs need to be grounded in the parent education concurrent with the children's developmental stages. Ultimately, parent engagement reforms programs to family-centered, collaboratively integrated systems. Caribbean ECE policy context. Some Caribbean countries have formulated policies on early childhood education, care, and development based on the NAEYC tenets. For instance, Trinidad and Tobago adopted a revised national curriculum framework. Jamaica has established an early childhood commission and associated standards, and Barbados has developed and integrated family support services with early education programs at school. However, these programs are poorly developed and implemented, and there are inequity in financing, personnel training, and infrastructure in the rural and urban areas. This inability to provide educational equity highlights a need for much stronger accountability and responsive equity systems to address these needs.
Thank you, Chrissy. I will now explain the examples of alignment. Examples of alignment in the Caribbean are the play-based learning components of Trinidad and Tobago's ECC curriculum and articulation with developmentally appropriate practice, DAP. Jamaica's National Standards Framework with early learning environment expectations, and Barbados's educational model which integrates family engagement with all educational levels. Although these examples suggest capacity for innovative initiatives, they are not universally implemented, which indicates that there is a system gap. These examples provide evidence of standard progress through local context adaptation. Ministry of Education 2023. Next, I will discuss Parent Education Models Toolkit. The toolkit considers parent education as crucial for readiness. Home visiting models provide customized assistance addressing parents' needs and teaching parents methods to foster child development. Site-based parent education programs conduct workshops on children's health, development, and school transition. Effective models are comprehensive, connecting parents' aspirations to children's achievement and consideration of cultural diversity. For the Caribbean, cultural diversity of these models should enhance home-school collaboration and improve readiness outcomes, according to Martin et al. 2024. We will discuss now the evidence of family engagement in the Caribbean. Many Caribbean islands are already engaged in family involvement initiatives. For example, Jamaica employs community-based parent programs according to Early Childhood Regulations 2005. Trinidad engages in transition to primary school programs, and Guyana implements home visiting programs. These initiatives are aligned to the NAEYC Family Partnership Standards and highlights the positive impacts of parent involvement on children's transition, attendance, and readiness. However, these efforts are frequently underfunded and uncoordinated at the national level.
All these examples truly highlight the dedication and creativity present within our region. From community based parent programs to home visiting initiatives, we can see that the Caribbean educators and families are working hand in hand to support our youngest learners. Still, despite these successes, there are underlying issues that continue to limit our full alignment with the NAEYC standards. To move forward, we must first acknowledge where our systems fall short. Let's now turn our attention to the gaps and barriers that remain.
Identified gaps. Consequently, additional work remains. A preschool overemphasis on academic preparation, a lack of individualized planning to address varying levels of readiness, a lack of culturally sustaining frameworks, and a lack of parent leadership development opportunities. These gap of inequities and friction align with NAEYC standards, especially among NAEYC underserved population. NAEYC 2020 hit born 2025. Barriers. The most significant barriers to full alignment are insufficient funds, a distributed teacher storage, soloid service delivery in health, social services, and education, and the lack of parent participation in transportation and childcare. In addition, the monitoring and evaluation process are weak, making it difficult to track and improve regional quality. These barriers must be overcome first, or progress will not be possible. Recommendation families. It is essential that Caribbean system integrate parent leadership and advocacy as foundational elements. These include the formation of Parent Leadership Council, parent representatives in government, and leadership training geared towards parents. Recognition, stipend, logistical support, and other incentive might enhance participation. Programs must also improve responsive communication and feedback, especially on the policies and practices that govern their participation.
Hi everyone, good night. Tonight I'll be focusing on recommendations, programs, and policies. At the programs and policies level, the Caribbean government should definitely customize their standards to the NAEYC benchmark, add mandate indicators on family partnership, and strengthen the teacher pipeline through professional development that is affordable and of high quality. Policies should also incorporate accountability elements, requiring programs to document engaging efforts and outcomes. Investments in monitoring and evaluation should ensure ever-improving consistency performance across the system. NAEYC 2020. Implementation timeline. A phased implementation plan could occur over a period of 12 to 18 months. For example, Phase 1 can take 3 to 4 months. In this phase, conduct a regional gap analysis, engaging families as co-designers. During this phase, family participants should be co-designers of the gap analysis. In Phase 2, which lasts between 6 to 9 months, participants will be pushed to pilot this in select centers where teacher coaching, family, play-based curriculums, and family councils have focus. Phase 3. This will last for a period of 3 to 5 months. It will focus on evaluating outcomes with simple data tools, practicing refinement, and scaling stressful strategies. This timeline balances urgency with feasibility and ensures parent and community buy-in at every stage. Advocacy and leadership. Reform is sustainable only when there is a cultural change on how families are viewed within the educational system. Parents should be included as members of the School Readiness Board in addition to the Governing Council so as to promote shared governance. Advocacy should also focus on families as the core of readiness and stress the need for collaborative leadership with accountability to measurable outcomes. According to NAEYC 2020, this shift not only improves the quality of the program, but also community ownership of educational outcomes, and this is very crucial.
Now, as we conclude, it is clear that while the Caribbean has made meaningful strides towards aligning early childhood policies with the NAEYC standards, there is still much to be done. Our region demonstrates potential through play based learning, family engagement programs, and national frameworks. Yet, challenges such as limited funding, inequitable access, and inconsistent implementation continue to affect progress. The recommendations presented emphasize three main priorities. One, strengthening family partnerships as central to all ECE programs. Two, ensuring teachers' preparation and professional development reflect developmentally appropriate practices. And three, embedding accountability and equity in policy and governance. When families, educators, and policymakers unite around a shared vision of quality and inclusion, every child in the Caribbean will have the opportunity to reach their fullest potential. On behalf of the ECE Visionaries of the Caribbean, we thank you for your attention and for your shared commitment to nurturing our region's youngest learners. Thank you.